All right, let's go to number 3. Another super common one is cluttered deserts. Now, we've mentioned in a previous episode called Forest versus Deserts that deserts are actually quite difficult. They're more challenging to do because a desert is, as you guessed, deserted, right? There isn't much going on in it. And so when that happens, when you have less visually going on, the smallest change in the terrain, the smallest POI or the smallest terrain change sticks out. You'll notice that these high elevation rocks right here, they really pop out because I have all these very low rolling sand dunes right here. So in other words, it's more challenging to make a good aesthetically pleasing desert because you have to learn how to use negative space, which is about composition. And this is what I see a lot of deserts do is they'll just kind of, again, kind of a stamp spam approach to where they'll just put a whole bunch of sand dunes down. And that looks fine. But if you want to bump it up, there's another approach to go to it, and that is to have a little bit more control on where your dunes go so that you can, again, kind of create this illusion of composition, putting a focal point somewhere. So what I'll do is I'll go into the forest here or the desert here, and I'll probably just delete a lot of these smaller dunes, and I'll create some space in between these dunes. Like there's create some space here. That seems so close. I'm just going to create some space because it's so cluttered. And then once you start cleaning up some of the negative space here, let's go and delete that. We'll put that there. You start cleaning it up a little bit. Things start to look a little bit more organized. Let's go ahead and move that one here like this. I want to show more flat negative space. Remember, the idea is a desert is deserted. It doesn't look so deserted when it's filled with a bunch of dune stamps, right? So breaking up these, kind of creating maybe some connecting lines with each other. Let's move this one. This one looks a lot of the same. Let's move them this way. Yeah, exactly. I agree with the musical rogue there in the chat. Negative space is important. And when negative space or empty space, because empty space is what causes the focal point to change, right? It also is a rest for your viewer's eye, right? If there's always constantly something going on, then there's no place for the eye to rest. So having those contrasting negative spaces or empty spaces helps to make the more populated spaces pop out, right? It's a contrasting thing. Remember, one of the big iron rules that I have is contrast is king or queen. It is the way to go. Contrast is how you make eye-popping biomes. So always kind of remember that. But what's helpful is to space out your dunes a little bit more. Maybe you can create wave-like formations or lines, and then you see you have this negative space right in here like this, where there's nothing going on here. That creates a rest, and then the eye can move from the rest over to this next spot right here. So it's important when you think about deserts or even just a wasteland of some kind, always remember to focus on how is it that I'm creating a dichotomy between negative space and positive space, or occupied space and empty space, stamp space and texture space, right? So always kind of remember that. It's going to be very important when you're putting together deserts. And deserts, again, they are challenging for that reason. It requires more command of understanding of composition to make deserts, while conversely, a forest is much easier. You can do stamp spamming and it won't get in the way. So deserts, quite difficult, really, quite challenging.